Hi, friends. This is Sunil Chandy, Father Chandy from Christ Episcopal Church, and this is our daily Food for Thought program. And I thank you for joining us today. This is a great day. So far, we have about 10 people who are with us. Mary, thank you for watching with us. God bless you. And thank you, Meg, for good afternoon. I hope you and Ken and the whole family are doing well, Meg. And then I think there are other people who are watching us also. And so please just, Natalie, good afternoon. I'm going to see you today. In fact, later this evening, we're setting up the service for Sunday. And Natalie is our Altar Guild directress, and she, along with Cheryl Leong, are going to meet with us, and we're going to meet with me, and we're going to talk about how to set the altar and so forth, and some issues around lighting and everything. As many of you might have noticed, when we did the service this weekend, we moved away from the chapel, St. Nicholas Chapel, and moved up to the main altar as we prepare for the eventual opening up of our church to our community, as we move past this COVID-19 challenge that we're involved with. And so if you're still coming in, please say hello, check in with us. Don't forget, my friends, always to share this as well. I mean, the more people that we are able to listen to our program, the more that we're getting the message across, a positive message across, the better for our church, for I think the community of Westerly and Stonington, and the community of our world. Namaste, Betsy. Thank you. God bless you. Again, share as many times as you can, and of course, make those heart. Love it if you do like what you're hearing. We've been having some wonderful guests here at this program, and I will be. I'm excited about the lineup of guests that we've not only had, but we will continue to have as we move forward. It's a beautiful thing, and in fact, I just got word again that Jerusalem Greer will be with us. She is the national chair of of evangelism in the Episcopal Church, and she's given me a list of people who are there. She is. And she's going to be talking with us on Food for Thought, and it'll be on Tuesday, May 26th at noon. And she'll be talking, I think, really about, she has a hobby farm, and she'll be talking about wisdom from the farm. And she's also given me a list of names of people in the national church who might be able to give us interesting information about the church and what it's doing, especially during this time. That was also, hi, Janice Sconnard. Thank you for being with us too. So, I think this is a pivotal week for us. I did want to share a thought, and there's a great deal of anxiety. That's I think a little bit more than the average or what's normal now as we are dealing with this crisis, but our governor, Gina Raimondo, is coming out with some new guidelines on Friday on how churches will be opened, and so I mean, and she has also been pretty vocal on, or she's been telling us a little bit about what she's thinking about it. By the way, I think she's an amazing leader. I think anyone in leadership at this time, and those who don't just scream, running away from their leadership posts, I think we have to give them all our support. That means also not just on the local level, in our own city and town and so forth in our region, but also on our state level, and also on our national level. I am not the type of person who likes to criticize that leadership, because I know that being a leader in these times, half of the battle is just showing up and not giving up, not quitting in the face of this challenge. So anyone who's in leadership, whether it's on the local level, on the state level, or on the national, federal level. Let's pray for them. Let's give them our support. Let's not try to pull them down. Let's give them our support. So anyway, Governor Raimondo is going to come up with a couple of guidelines for churches. And I know that she's been under some great political pressure and to have churches open up quickly. And in fact, I think one of the guidelines that she's considering is that we're going to be allowed to open up to 25% of our capacity. And I have to really think about this long and hard, and it's a good thing that in our community, in our church, it's not just one person making the decision. You know, it's a board, it's a vestry board, and they have, and we as a vestry, which I'm the presider of, have appointed a task force in which I'm a participant of, but a task force filled with very wise and engaged parishioners. It's a smaller task force, and they are filled with people that I have utmost confidence in, and especially, and in that task force is includes our executive committee, which is our two wardens, our treasurer, and our clerk of the vestry, all very important and intelligent folks in my mind. And so I really believe in the genius of a group. I don't believe that one particular person has all the knowledge to make all the decisions and right decisions and appropriate decisions for our community. I think it has to be a dialogue process in which we talk and we have the genius of the group, and they'll come up with some recommendations, and then we'll present that to the vestry, who then is also filled with many intelligent and engaged parishioners, and we'll talk again, and then we'll come out. And so we've been trying to develop a plan for our own opening, and it's based it's going to be based on what the governor's guidelines is going to be on Friday, but then also it will be based on what suggestions and recommendations from our diocesan bishop, Nick Knisley, and his task force. And so we're going to be thinking long and hard. And I know people are anxious to get back into church. I know people are anxious to get back to a normal flow and ebb of our life. But I don't want us to rush. You, our parishioners, are too important for me and for all of us. This virus is something unique. It's not like a flu virus. It's something different, and it has, and the mere fact that it's challenged our local community, our state community, our country, our world in this manner gives testimony to that. It is not a normal thing. So my position is to be cautious and to go slow and to be reminded. And the reason why I want to go slow is because I'm holding each of my parishioners in my mind. Everyone who is over 65, anyone who's even under 65. We don't know the extent of how this virus really can affect people who are young children or even middle-aged or younger adults. You know, we just don't know. We don't have as much information as we need, I think. But we do know that it affects people who are over 65, and especially people who are immunocompromised and who have, other conditions, diabetes and hypertension and so forth. So my position will be to move slow, even though I want to see people in person. I want to see us all together on the other side of this conflict, alive and in person. You know, I don't want to, I believe in resurrection. I do. And I believe that when we do Eucharist together, it spans time and space but I want to see you alive with me in front of me, not just knowing that you are in spirit here with me, if something happens to you. So my recommendation is always going to be to move slowly and cautiously. I know that there are other churches and other denominations who are looking to quickly come back to church. I think what we should do is watch what's happening, and respond. And then we're having a great deal of success right now on this medium right now. And what I think we might have to do is just be patient. Although we will come out with a guideline, that task force will come out. We're working on something, but I just wanted to just prepare you that we're not going to get back to normal quickly. It's just the reality, and you might be upset with that, and I can understand that. I could understand your frustrations. I could understand your longing to be back in church, longing to participate in communion and the Eucharist. I understand all of that, but I also hope that you understand that I think we would all rather celebrate together, alive and joyful, on the other side of this challenge. And we wouldn't want to lose people that we didn't have to. So with that, today I was going to have one guest who was going to talk to us about exercise and the possibilities of doing some different things when even right now in our challenging situation. But I don't think that it's something came up with them, and so I'm not sure if they are here yet. And so Ben has got an interesting thing today he wanted to try out. And so Ben, come on over and tell me what's happening.
Hey, Father Sunil.
Hey Ben, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I know. You're outside. It's great.
I am outside. So, first of all, I think that what you were just saying was very nice, and and uh, I'm happy to know you and to know the people at Christ Church, and how much you all care about the congregation, which I think is fantastic. And really heartwarming, especially in this difficult time. What I wanted to do was, I've interviewed you a couple times now, but we sort of talked about the coronavirus and the situation as it was, but we haven't done a real sort of podcast interview about who you are, in the same way that you do with all of your guests, and I usually do with all of mine. So I know that you have a story, and I know that it's really interesting. So I thought that it would be nice to dive into that a little bit. And also, so I apologize for being outside with none of my equipment or anything. It just is what it is. But
I love
hopefully
it.
that all works. Thank you. And I also want to. I'm just going to pull up this. If you have questions for Father Sunil, ask them below, and I'll pull them up in the comments and ask them. So I just want to say, I don't like to put up comments during the thought of the day, especially because we like to take it out and use it out of context later. But Bishop Thomas Samuel said, Ascension Day greetings, Pastor. Marcia said peace. So I just wanted to say hi to you guys. And if you have questions for Father Sunil, I would love to ask them. So please put them in the comments. So where did it all begin for you? I know that you mentioned frequently that that people are watching in India, and that your mother is still in India.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your origin story. Who are you? Where did you come from?
Sure. And I don't know if it's very interesting, but I'll tell you, it's interesting that we have Bishop Thomas Samuel on board and watching. He's part of my origin story. He was a priest when he was a young priest in the Church of South India. My parents came here to the U.S. when I was young, about 5 years old, and we worshipped in the Church of South India churches in the U.S. We weren't a part of the Episcopal Church at the time, and Bishop Thomas Samuel, who just commented. And I'm so surprised that he's watching this, but I'm so happy. He was one of the young priests who came to the U.S. and he stayed at our house. And I used to remember at age 10 and 12 years, 10 to 11, I would ask him questions about the priesthood and all that he did. And I remember he taught me how to play chess. He was the coolest priest that I could see at the time. He had this long hair, and he doesn't have it now. It's all gray, But he taught me how to play chess, and he listened to me, and he let me ask my questions about the world. I mean, I know that they weren't smart questions or any kind of interesting, but it was just a kid who was just trying to figure things out a little bit. And I remember in particular, he taught me the first time to pray, to pray out loud. And so he's part of that origin story. So part of it is that I came from the U.S. Nice to see you. Jess. Yeah. And of course, Bishop Samuel had an illustrious career and still does. He's continuing to do great work in India, and he's connected to. He was the bishop of Madhya Diocese, and with that, he was a mouthpiece for a church that's very strong and populated. I came to the U.S. when I was about 5 years old. And lived here all of my life, and then my father was a Church of South India priest, and he was also an X-ray technician. He worked like Paul, the Apostle Paul. He was like a worker priest, and I used to remember that we had he was a priest in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I mean, and then we would be living in northern Jersey, and we travel from North Jersey all the way down to Philadelphia to the congregation. Church was an all-day event for us. But early on, I knew that, I always struggled because it was kind of like church was something you did only on Sundays. And then Mondays, I was into science. And in fact, I was a biochemist, eventually with the idea of going to med school or pharmaceutical chemistry. I got into a PhD program in pharmaceutical chemistry.
I was going to say, you became a pharmacist first, right?
Yeah. And so that was kind of like the safety thing. From there, I was going to go in. I got into a PhD program in pharmaceutical chemistry, and with the idea that either there or go to medical school with medical missionary. But after college, I started to, my father had his third heart attack, and all of a sudden I started questioning things. Before religion was all about Sunday was just for church, and Monday through Saturday was all about just doing what needed to be done and living in the world. And my life was kind of disconnected. And even with the church, even with the communities, I mean, I was part of the Indian community, but I was also part of the American community. And there was always a disconnect. Where do I belong? And then when my father had his third heart attack, that's when I started to really think about these things in earnest. And college was interesting because college, I went away from the faith. I mean, I remember one time, my father was, coming with my mother to pick me up at Rutgers University as the College of Pharmacy, and I was supposed to go to Philadelphia with them. The problem was that whole week I was studying really hard, and then the night before I was partying really hard. I don't know if I should be telling this, but
please tell it. Please.
Oh my God. I would call, and so I come over there, and I couldn't, he comes and knocks on the door, and my mother's right behind him, and my college roommate and I, we've been partying all night, and we've had all these folks and stuff and everything. And then, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and Dad said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "What?" And then I said to him, "I'm not going. I can't go. I'm not going. Father might need a confession." That's right. This was over 30 years ago, folks.
I love it. I love it. You can't hear me laughing because I'm muting myself, so you don't hear a 5-year-old playing basketball in the background. But I love it. This is great. Continue.
Well, it's funny though, because like what happened was, I said to Dad, "I'm not going to do this. Papa, I'm not going to go. I can't do it. I'm too tired." And then he goes. Then my mother, she's this. Her name is Sarah, right? And she's like a princess. She's so diminutive and everything, and you think that she's like this really nice, calm lady, and she is. I mean, but she's got steel. That lady is tough. And so what happened was, my father said, "Come on, get going." And we started talking. I said, I started arguing and said, "Dad, I don't know if I could believe all of this stuff. All of this is myth. I'm a scientist. I need to know what the truth is. Um, and I said, I don't know if I believe in this stuff." Then my mother, who's standing right behind her, right behind him, my father was holding her back. All of a sudden, she was getting violent. And then she turned to him, and goes, "It's your fault." Because my father's like, Dad's like, "What? Me? My fault? What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Yes, it's your fault. We should have sent him to a convent in India and raised him up there. I told you we should have done that." Yeah. My father. Yeah.
That conversation was bound to happen at some point.
Oh my God. She was tough. She was tough. Like scary, My roommate was scared. Ralph Mancini's his name. He was scared too. But I'll tell you, my father said one of the most perfect things to me at that time. He goes like this: "Sunil, I know you have questions, and I don't know if I can answer all of them. I don't know. You've got, even now, you're moving on to an education class that I haven't been at yet, and you know things, you see things differently than I do, and I don't think I can answer your questions. But I will ask you to do one thing: continue to ask the questions, and I will pray that God will answer your questions in time." And so even at that moment, I said, "Okay, all right, Dad, but I'm not going." And he goes, "All right, it's okay. You don't have to come. I'll drive." Yeah. And he put the guilt trip on me. And you're like, "Yes, your mother and I will drive after, and I have a third heart attack." Yeah. So, but on the way back, I felt really bad. Well, when he came back, he visited. I apologized to him and everything. But then he died. But after that, he started a conversation, right, with me, and I started to really probe, continuing to ask questions of priests and people. And I started to get more active in my church, because the church community was there for me during my father's illness. And in fact, what happened was, I said to him after I graduated from pharmacy school, I wouldn't mind trying out seminary just to ask, just to think, because I love doing stuff with the community. And actually, I was ordained early while I was in seminary. I mean, he basically told our bishop. The bishop was very happy, and they needed to have a young adult ordained for people who were brought up in America. But I felt always not enough. I remember the day before my ordination, I was crying in the chapel of Church of Good Shepherd, saying, "God, you called me for this, but I just don't feel prepared for any of this." You know, at General Theological Seminary, and so I went through those ordinations, and the second ordination too, and then 2 weeks after my second ordination, my father died. Right, and so the week after that ordination was the first time I was celebrating as a priest. And the image I have was my father was at that altar with me. You know, I had my mentor priest, Jacob David. And I was celebrating and feeling like I wasn't, you know, I deserved to be a priest. And then I had my father right next to me. He's already a priest, Church of Southern. He's kneeling, and I'm doing the consecration prayers. And all I want to do is make sure that I get the right words out, right? And my father, I could see my father from my side, and I could see tears coming down his face. And I would call, as I'm looking at him, and I'm just saying, "Oh my God, Dad, why are you doing this? You're embarrassing me. I don't know if I want, come on, it's not that bad." But he's crying, and that memory is etched in me around the Eucharist. That later that week, he passed away. That was my first time celebrating as a priest. That was his last time receiving communion, and he received it from me. Every communion, every Eucharist experience that I have, that experience has left an indelible mark on me. So that what I feel is that every time there's Eucharist, there's a spiritual presence of all the saints around me. You know, I love my church. I love doing what I do. I love the people around me. I would never do anything else. Sorry.
No, that's wow.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful story. Thank you so much. I'm so, I think that is such a beautiful story, and I think that it's timing is interesting,
Yeah.
and divine, and I think that the beautiful big things in regards to timing that are divine, and there are small things, and I think that the fact that we wouldn't have gotten to that story today if there wasn't a guest who no showed. I think that's the small things to the big things, they all pile up, and they happen for a reason, and that's such an inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And
Yeah, you're great as an interviewer, man. This is great.
thank you. I mean, I only asked one question, but thank you.
That's right. That's right.
And that's our
Yeah. Oh my God.
and that's our time. Yeah, and I just gotta say that I agree with where's the
Oh.
I don't know if I'm hitting the buttons correctly right now on the side, because I'm not. But Janice said, so poignant, thank you. And Chantel said, wow, such a beautiful story. I have no words. I completely agree. That was incredible. I also just want to thank. By the way, you were talking about what a family, and how close the church is, and how much everybody does for everybody else. I want to thank the parish administrator Jackie,
Oh
who
yeah.
is playing games right now on the phone with Braden, so that I could co-host this show with you. So she's distracting him
Well, put
behind me on the phone.
well, of course,
So
Jackie's great. Jackie's
so
wonderful.
so so I just want to say thank you to her as well. Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Yeah.
Jackie, I'm so grateful to
So
her.
so, but there's nowhere to go from there. That was the most that was the most powerful that was the most powerful story that you
Sure, sure. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think we filled up the half hour. I think that was the. I'm sorry that. Well, I'm glad. Uh, because we're connecting in a very powerful way. Ben, thank you for producing our show. It's I never imagined that I would be doing this as part of my ministry, but over the last 4 weeks, maybe longer now, I think I found this I have found this to be uh, just joyful. Um, and part of the reason why is because we have a great team, and you're part of that team. Jackie's part of that team. Shane Bellinger, Caswell Cook, our Betsy Rice, our vestry, a whole bunch of folks, and even Brandon Braden, who is with you. He, I have enjoyed speaking with the little guy. Anyway, friends, this is one of those unexpected moments that I didn't expect, and neither did Ben, but it gave us an opportunity, I think, for us to connect, which is important, especially during this crisis. I think part of the crisis is teaching us all that we need each other and that we are all connected with each other. Wherever we are, we're all connected in a wonderful way. We're we are created humanity, and God created us. And the more we understand that deep connection that we have with one another, the more we will approach that kingdom that Jesus Christ spoke so eloquently about over 2,000 years ago, and a kingdom in which we are moving towards even now, even through this crisis. So let us continue to hold in prayer, uh, all of us, through this crisis. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, teachers, and students, our clergy folk, and our counselors, and all our caregivers. We ask this in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go and spread your light in the world. It needs it right now. Thank you.